Hmm. So, the Kabbalah. We've all heard of it through various, what you would call conspiracy theories. People talking about modern day magic. It'll be tied in with anti Semitism when people look at it negatively, but people never really get into the weeds of it. And the sad thing is, literally, by Michael Dunphy, Kabbalah. Understanding and applying Kabbalistic history, concepts, secret knowledge, tree of life, Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah magic, and the spiritual life. I mean, it's not like it's a deep dive. I mean, let's read. Chapter 1. What exactly is Kabbalah? It is believed that the Kabbalah is an ancient Hebrew system of spiritual growth created to help you comprehend the universe. It is built in the concept of the tree of life, which helps explain the universe and also helps you attain enlightenment. There we go, the enlightened word. We all know about that. Enlightenment. That's what you're aiming for in Freemasonry and Buddhism, things like that. So you're already taking yourself away from your foundation of Judaism, which creates a little bit of confusion in my eyes. But let's go on. It is believed that the Kabbalah is based on the idea of in the tree of life. The tree of life is comprised of 10 Sephirot. The singular is Sephirah, and often spelled Sephirah. Connections on the tree of life. There is an 11th that is a Sephirah hidden called Dath, or westernized, Dath westernized, or Da'at Hebrew. The process of learning about the Kabbalah involves going between Serapha to Serapha through the past. The journey from the beginning in the life tree up to the top is a journey to spiritual enlightenment. The many paths and symbols used along the way symbolize spiritual transformation, but they can also be utilized for ceremonial or high magic and Kabbalistic magic. Like I said, this isn't even like an ancient book. This is literally telling you exactly what people who practice whatever you want to call it, the Kabbalah, or are a part of the Kabbalah, as everyone calls it. It's right here in the open in a printed text. Now here we go with the. This is average for things like this. So to understand the Kabbalah, it is necessary to be aware that it's about letting go to the world rather than being a me, self-centered, ego-based system. Yet we'll circle back and you will see that it is the word Kabbalah in its translation refers to that literally, it says the word Kabbalah in its translation refers to that. So when I'm repeating a word, it's literally, they have done that intentionally. So, the word Kabbalah, once again, in its translation refers to that is received. And in order to receive, you must first need to open and create a vessel within yourself that allows you to absorb the knowledge of the Kabbalah. Demon sounding, possession sounding, to understand the idea in the life tree. Kabbalah is the most secret of Jewish rabbis for several years and was the subject of a huge fascination for spirituality in Victorian England. The Kabbalah soon moved to the West, which was where it is taught as ceremonial magic and gained a significance as a method of spiritual awakening. All in all, Kabbalah is split into 3 distinct types. Theoretical is focused on the inner dimensions of the world. Spiritual worlds include angel souls, meditation, and much more. The purpose of this course is to help students to attain highest degree of consciousness and even experience prophecy in connection to the divine. It's heretic. And whatever they're coming into contact with, disguised as light, angels, souls, familiar spirits, we can bring it back to the Bible right after we read this. And the third is magical. It is focused on influencing the natural source of events by using seals, amulets, incantations, and God names God. It's interesting. It says, and God with a lowercase g, God names, and then it says God with a capital G, God and other mystical practices. They are literally becoming their own type of God. But they're saying there's a higher God, so they aren't, King God. I mean, this is literally the fourth page we've read together. I mean, it's wide. It's right there. This book was $16, to learn about what the heck's going on and everything. Like, as soon as you read it, you see it in the media, you see it in TV, you see it in entertainment. It's not like conspiracy theories. You don't have to believe everything just because you're a critical thinker. Being a critical thinker just means that you think for yourself and you don't idolize a certain person to make your moral standings. That's unacceptable to me. Now, a president who only has 4 years of influence, guaranteed once he's elected, you're gonna tell me that he is a great role model that we always must uphold absolute respect for. The office is an absolute catastrophe. It is a catastrophe. All it is a swinging pendulum to keep us distracted, but underneath it all, it is still spiritual, and that's what they're trying to take out of America. We're trying to be more figurative when we read spiritual text instead of literal, which is how I view it. That was a little rant that really kind of went off to left field. The magical aspects is one of the main reasons it is so well known in the West, and has such as Dion Fortune and Aleister Crowley. Literally the most wicked man in the world is already on page 10, advocating Kabbalah as a means that can bring enlightenment and magic. It is a method that could take years or even decades to master, and is a source of great potential. One of the great masters of the magical Kabbalah included Rabbi Joseph de la Rena, 1418 to 1472, which was a real person. As per legends, he sought to make use of his spiritual power to bring about the ultimate redemption, but he hurt himself spiritually. The events that took place to him remain the subject of many legends. There are those who say that he was insane. Some claim he committed suicide, others claiming that the transformation of his body into a spiritual being. Whatever was the reason, which was God not liking people messing around with how he likes to communicate with things. Look at the Old Testament. He gave prophets such specific things. I need this many cubits long, this, gold, silver, this. Magical spells and incantations will do the exact same thing. We need this, but it'll be disgusting, foul, gross, moral defining stuff just to get some material gain. Temporary at that. Anyway, generations followed him. Stop studying the magical part of Kabbalah, and the knowledge disappeared. The knowledge has been revived from Victorian specialists. Isn't based entirely on Jewish tradition, with the majority in it being modernized interpretations of the ancient wisdom. The meditative component of Kabbalah is not completely gone off, but since the advent of the Kabbalistic Zen centers of the West, symbolized way to shoot a whole bunch of pages on accident. symbolized by the red thread. Now you'll see this a lot in Hollywood, people that have the red thread, like something like this, but it's just a red piece of string tied around their band. Now that magical red thread is worn around the wrist and embraced by stars like Madonna. There it is, right there. The practice is now more well known, as people are seeking the meaning of their lives. Meditation on Kabbalah could lead to tranquility and awakening and help you achieve the state of more conscious. A lot of works written on the subject of Kabbalah are inspired by the theoretical aspects of it. The most important research on the theory of Kabbalah can be found in the Zohar, which is the doctrines of Talmudic mystic named from Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, who was alive at the end of the 2nd century following Christ. His teachings were spread via word of mouth until they were published near the middle of the 3rd century. Rabbi Moshe de Leon. In the past, the study of theoretical Kabbalah can be divided into 3 periods: the publication of the Zohar, which early lessons of Kabbalah, the 16th century mystics of the period, many hailing from Safed, performed a great deal of work in using the Kabbalah, which led to what is now known as a huge Kabbalistic renaissance. The Shasistic movement, founded by Baal, literally, that's how it's B-A-L, Baal Shem Dov, 1698 until 1760, has had a profound influence on mystical movements. Imagine that, old Baal. It continues to do so indirectly and continues to do so indirectly in the present. Anyway, if you aren't familiar with the Kabbalah thoroughly, it may appear to be an odd and fantastical picture that is unrelated to the actual world. When you begin to dig into the Kabbalah, you gradually begin to understand that this is a complex subject that you might not be able to master even after all your life, which literally sounds like a hook, sinker shot for a cult and or some kind of pyramid scheme. That's what that comes off as. It is believed that the Kabbalah is largely poorly understood system, one of the most commonly held beliefs being that it will provide physical abilities. The reason you should study Kabbalah, see how I repeated the words again? To enhance your abilities and to improve your understanding of the universe. That just sounds like gatekeep knowledge that any fallen angel can provide. Just saying. For those who want to be a part of the wisdom of it, studying Kabbalah can lead to a spiritual awakening and connection with God. And I went ahead and put a lowercase g on that God. For many, study Kabbalah is an effort of an entire lifetime. It can be an obsession once you understand how deep and important it is. With many thousands of years of history, studying tradition, there are vast amounts of information regarding the Kabbalah and how to make use of it to change yourself or your lifestyle. The study of the Kabbalah isn't just about the studying of the book, it's about practicing it out according to the Kabbalistic principles and implementing your life according to the Kabbalah, along with its teaching on a daily basis. Doing otherwise would be the same as trying to feel love through studying a book about it. You could become an expert in the field of literature, but you'll not truly understand what it is like until you experience it. You aren't praying hard enough. That's why you aren't getting blessed. And the ability to live the Kabbalah in your studies can be like trying to comprehend a city simply by looking at an outline of the city. If you don't go to the city, discover it to feel the pulse, you will never fully grasp the meaning behind it. Kabbalah is similar in this, as it is a matter of having to be a part of it in order for yourself to be able to sense its pulse and to comprehend it. The majority of literature on the Kabbalah is not focused on changing the self. The majority of it is focused on the concept as well as the Kabbalistic Kabbalistic the tree of life. The majority of Chastitic writings take the idea and incorporates it into your daily life by gaining a better comprehension of your higher paths and the spheres. Contrary to many self-improvement methods that are based on self-improvement, the Kabbalah does not sweep negativity or negative characteristics under the rug. It scolds them, acknowledges the existence of them, but doesn't give into these. Instead, the way of thinking is completely different, and you are not able to fight. You are not able to how to fight negativity or power it with positive energy. When you study the path of the Kabbalah, it is possible to awaken into the Ein Sof, which is the eternal, the divine, or God, or whatever you prefer to label it. That is not God, that is a God. You can't label God anything except God. You are reaching into the world of other deities now. When you discover the mysteries of Kabbalah and begin to understand that the sense of separation from the spiritual source is just a figment of our imagination as you're part of that divine total. When you understand this concept, whether you are conscious or unconscious, it will help you overcome your negative characteristics and emotional reactions. This is literally now sounding the same as chicken soup for the soul, but for the spiritual awakening soul. 3 negative characteristics in Kabbalah, 3 negative traits. That repeating nonsense, anger, stubbornness, and haughtiness. All of them have their roots in self-image. Even though we just went through a whole couple of pages about self and how you can find peace in self. Just, come on. The ego is the root of everything negative. The false notion of self or ego is the basis of all corruption. You are left in the condition created to support it in its survival. This is literally the basis of Western culture that many people do not even will realize that they are a part of. And that is the part I don't like. I do not like tricking people into being a part of your thing. Be a part of it or not. Even Ariana Grande. I mean, honestly, I think there's some weird stuff going on with her because she has. I pray for her. She just doesn't look healthy or happy, and she practices the Kabbalah. But at least she's open about it and tells people that's what she's doing. A lot of people that do it, they're never gonna admit anything. They want to make magic the Disney Channel. They don't want people to know that magic is a real thing going on today, fighting against our Holy Lord. With no doubt. Now let me continue real quick. The ego is the source of negative emotions. So when you are angry, it's the self-consciousness of the ego expressing that it's not happy. I could have wrote this. Fear of destruction fuels the ego out. Anger, along with other negative feelings, are manifestations of your concern. With these false assumptions regarding survival, source of all your negative emotions is your totality of your involvement in this fantasy. And getting rid of the false perception of self and ego, you'll be able to conquer your negative feelings. Learning the Kabbalah can help you realize that this false ego that is a facade to hide your eternal soul. When you study the Kabbalah and realize the fact that Ein Sof is all that exists, you experience it not only at global level as well as on a personal, individual level. Your illusion of being separated disappears, as do the negative feelings which are caused through the expression of your self-image. This literally just spelled out encouragement to completely lose who God made. You don't have to destroy everything about yourself to become a good person. Everyone has negative aspects to them. You can flip them and make it into something positive and then help someone else with that negative emotion that they're having one day. You don't have to completely separate yourself from your old self or you'll never learn anything. That's how we learn history. A whole class in school. And I learned from the history of my mistakes. I don't want to be shooting up meth and fentanyl again. Thank God I'm 40, almost 42 months away from all that. God, thank you so much. And it's if I would have been reading this in active addiction, it would have done nothing for me. Reading the Bible in active addiction for me makes me weep. Put it that way. Getting rid of this false specific. Okay, however, this doesn't mean that you must view your ego as a threat to conquer and conquer. The double stuff again. It will be clear to you in your studies that only light is real while everything else is a way to conceal your truth. The information will help you overcome the negative and grasp the meaning of Kabbalah. It will help you understand. I mean, once you get so far into it, I think you'll understand who the grand architect of all this is. It is believed that the Kabbalah is a deeply important subject, and the issue, what does it mean to be a Kabbalah, as is a question which mystics as well as rabbis have been searching for answers for millennia. When you read this book, you'll gain a deeper understanding of this mysterious method of self-knowing and begin learning ways to incorporate it into your own self. Aspects of Kabbalah now. In the terms of the doctrines of Kabbalah are relevant. There are fundamental theological differences in Judaism as well as Kabbalah. Keep in mind that there are distinct similarities connect them, and if something seems like they do to you, that there's an obvious reason why. But it's crucial to emphasize that there was a distinct divergence between the two beliefs, and you'll certainly be amazed at the things that make Kabbalah distinctive. Without more delay, let's look at what it makes Kabbalah so fascinating, complicated, complex, and controversial religion in all over the world. God heard and hidden. Kabbalah affirms the two aspects of God must be reconciled to us. We must be able to comprehend Ein Sof is what they refer to God as divine essential essence that is absolute in transcendence and is unlimited as well as not able to be understood. In the end, the divine is beyond our comprehension, and the divine being is also inaccessible when we try to comprehend the motives and realities that God has for us. And this is referred to as the hidden God that places us at a significant disadvantage. As humans who are in God's service, God, we are unable to be aware or predict a thing God will do, or why God does what he does, or how we contribute to God's plan of action. It's literally the gospel. The beginning of the Old Testament down to, I mean, if you read the Bible, this whole sentence is answered. That's the thing that, it's literally just it's a type of trickery. People think that they can get something out of this. If they don't, they're not going to be able to find, and it's sad. And this is just the opening book. I mean, I have the Demonology by King James and the 3 magical books of Solomon. I mean, the things that are connected into the world now through these old practices, it's astounding. I mean, I just have this curiosity. Why does the Bible talk about don't do this, don't do this, don't do this so much? Because my head was conditioned, magic is woo, 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 but there's a reason that this system of depravity has been going on for so long. I mean, as in the days of Noah, it will be again, and we are getting close. I mean, it's not far off. I'm not saying the world's going to end tomorrow or this year or in 20 years. All I'm saying is, what if he came back right now? What if he came back right now? You know? Now, after reading, this is basically the first chapter, reading all about what the Kabbalah can do for you. I want to read the story of the witch. Alright, so the Witch of Endor. In one chapter from 1 Samuel, chapter 28, and read the whole chapter, I will show you just how dangerous magic can be. When God wants you to know something, God will let you know it. Just listen. In those days, I actually haven't. Yeah. In those days, the Philistines mustered their military forces to fight against Israel. So Achab said to David, You realize, of course, that you and your men must go out on campaign with me to Jezreel. David answered Achab, Good, now you shall learn what your servant can do. Then Achab said to David, I shall appoint you my permanent bodyguard. Now Samuel had died, and after being mourned by all Israel, was buried in the city Ramah. Meanwhile, Saul had driven mediums and fortune tellers out of the land. The Philistine Levites advanced to Shunem and encamped. Saul too mustered all Israel. They camped on Gilboa. When Saul saw the camp of Philistines, he was dismayed and lost heart completely. He therefore consulted the Lord, but the Lord gave no answer, whether in dreams or by the Urim or through prophets. Then Saul said to his servants, Find me a woman who is a medium, to whom I can go to seek counsel through her. His servants answered him, There's a woman in Endor who is a medium. So he disguised himself, putting on other clothes, and setting out with 2 companions. They came to the woman by night, and Saul said to her, Tell me the fortune through a ghost, conjure up for me the one I ask you. But the woman answered, You are surely aware of what Saul has done in driving mediums and fortune tellers out of the land. Why then are you lying snares for my life to have me killed? But Saul swore to her by the Lord, As the Lord lives, you shall incur no blame for this. The woman asked him, Who do you want me to conjure up? He said, Samuel. When the woman saw Samuel, she shrieked at the top of her voice and said to Saul, Why have you deceived me? You are Saul. But the king said to her, Have no fear. What do you see? The woman answered Saul, I see a preternatural being rising from the earth. What does he look like? Asked Saul. And she replied, As an old man who is rising, clothed in mantle. Saul knew it was Samuel, so he bowed face to the ground in homage. Samuel said to Saul, Why do you disturb me by conjuring me up? Saul replied, I am in great straits, for the Philistines are waging war against me, and God has abandoned me, since no longer answers me through prophets or in dreams. I have called you to tell me what I was abandoned, what I should do. Samuel said, But why do you ask me if the Lord has abandoned you, and is with your neighbor? The Lord has done to you what he foretold through me. He has torn the kingdom from your grasp and given it to your neighbor David, because you disobeyed the Lord's directive and would not carry out his fierce anger against Amalek. The Lord has done this to you today. Moreover, the Lord will deliver Israel, and you as well, into the clutches of the Philistines. But tomorrow you and your sons will be with me, and the Lord will have delivered the army of Israel into the hands of the Philistines. Immediately Saul fell full length on the ground, for he was badly shaken by Samuel's message. Moreover, he had no bodily strength left, since he had eaten nothing all that day and night. Then the woman came to Saul, and seeing that he was quite terror-stricken, said to him, Remember, your maidservant obeyed you. I took my life in my hands and fulfilled the request you made of me. Now you, in turn, please listen to your maidservant. Let me set something before you to eat, so that you may have strength when you go on your way. But he refused, saying, I will not eat. However, when the servants joined the woman in urging him, he listened to their entreaties, got up from the ground, and sat on the couch. The woman had a stall-fed calf in the house, which she now quickly slaughtered. Then, taking flour, she kneaded it and baked unleavened bread. She set the meal before Saul and the servants, and they ate. They stood up and left the same night. The king, deceiving a witch. Being told, for your actions you will be delivered to the Philistines. You will not win this war. He did not want to be disturbed. Necromancy is extremely forbidden. Nothing good came from this. Nothing good. Absolutely nothing. He thought God had abandoned him, but he was seeking other gods. He wasn't seeking the living God. And that there's a big difference. Now, let's finish. Now the Philistines had mustered, chapter 29. Philistines had mustered all their forces to Aphek, and the Israelites were encamped at the spring of Harod near Jezreel. As the Philistines' lord were marching, their group of 100 and 1,000, David and his men were marching in the rear, guard with Ashish. The Philistine chief asked, what are those Hebrews doing here? And Ashish answered them, why, that is David, the officer of Saul, king of Israel. He has been with me now for a year or two, and I have no fault to find with him from the day he came over to meet me until present. But the Philistine chiefs were angry at this and said to him, he must go down into battle with us, lest during the battle he become our enemy. For how else can he win back his master's favor, if not with the heads of those men of ours? Is this not David, of whom they sing during their dances? Saul has slain thousands, but David his 10,000s. So Ashish summoned David and said to him, as the Lord lives, you are honest, and I should be pleased to have you active with me in the camp, for I have found nothing wrong with you from the day of your arrival to this day, but you are not welcome to the lords. Withdraw peacefully now, and do nothing that might displease the Philistine lords. But David said to Ashish, what have I done, or what have you against your servant from the first day? I have been with you to this day, that I cannot go to fight against the enemies of my lord, the king. You know, Ashish answered David, that you are acceptable to me, but the Philistine chiefs had determined you are not to go up with us to battle. So the first thing tomorrow, you and your lord's servants who came with you go to this place I picked out for you. Do not decide to take umbrage at this. You are acceptable to me as an angel of God, but make an early morning start. As soon as it grows light, be on your way. So David and his men left early in the morning and returned to the land of Philistines. The Philistines, however, went on to Jezreel. Under attack, and as they pressed their attack on Israel, when the Israelites, fleeing before them, were failing mortally wounded on Mount Gilboa, the Philistines pursued Saul and his sons closely, slew Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchishua, sons of Saul. The battle raged around Saul, and the archers hit him. He was pierced through the abdomen. Then Saul said to his armor-bearer, draw your sword and run me through, lest these uncircumcised come and make sport of me. But his armor bearer, badly frightened, refused to do it. So Saul took his own sword and fell upon it. When the armor bearer saw that Saul was dead, he too fell upon his sword and died. Thus Saul, his 3 sons, and his armor bearer died together on the same day, when the Israelites on the slope of the valley and those along the Jordan saw the men of Israel had fled. Thus Saul, his 3 sons, and his armor bearer died together on that same day. When the Israelites on the slope of the valley and those along the Jordan saw the men of Israel had fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they too abandoned their cities and fled. And the Philistines came and lived in those cities. The day after the battle, the Philistines came to strip the slain and found Saul and his 3 sons lying on Mount Gilboa. They cut off Saul's head and stripped him of his armor, and then sent the good news throughout the land of the Philistines to their idols and to the people. They put his armor in the temple of Ashtaroth, but impaled his body on the wall of Bashan. When the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all their warriors set out, and after marching throughout the night, removed the bodies of Saul and his sons from the wall of Bashan, and brought them to Jabesh, where they cremated them. Then they took their bones and buried them under the tamarisk tree in Jabesh, and fasted for 7 days. Absolutely nothing came good out of one little bit of magical practice, deception, pride, confusion, and not letting God answer you through his word, waiting patiently. Look how he fell on his own sword, died in his sin. Meanwhile, we have a book anyone can buy, short read, extremely easy to read, that will take you down the exact same path as Saul. I love y'all. Amen.